Welcome to Buckets. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by my colleague, NBA futures analyst Brandon Anderson. This is your Friday workshop. We had a day off, which I didn't really know what to do with my hands, but now we've got two games on Friday. Brandon, we're going to have games all the way pretty much through the rest of the playoffs. Maybe if some things wrap early, which we'll talk about today, we'll have a couple of gaps in there, but we should have a lot of basketball here to go. Last day off for a while. We will go over the games for Friday, get you set on best bets for all of those. Reminder that everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks and get up to the second information on where the bets and money are coming in on, as well as trends, props, sides, totals, bets, analysis, futures, every single thing you can think of, all sorts of coverage and promos. Lots of promos, lots of offers. Everything that you need to bet is over at the Action Network app. You can find it in the App Store or on Google Play. As a reminder, if you like the show, please consider giving the show a 5-star review. It's going to help us so much as we try and spread the word about buckets. We have more momentum than we ever have. We doubled our downloads month over month. I'm so excited about the progress this podcast has made. I can't thank Raheem and Brandon and our producer, Dan Titus, enough for their efforts. Making some real progress. Let's keep it going. Give us those 5-star reviews for buckets. All right, Brandon, we got two games in the NBA on Friday. The Miami Heat travel to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, to take on the Sixers. Joel Embiid might play. Might. The line right now is Heat -1. There were some places that opened Sixers -1. It's now Heat -1 in the market. Total is 210.5, down from 211. Of course, when we talk about a 2-0 series, we've got to look at the opportunity for the home team down 2-0, because that trend is Raheem's favorite bet in the world. Lay the numbers on me.
Yeah, so Raheem loves this one. Game 3, coming home, down 0-2 in the series. That's the spot. That's the kitchen sink, backs against the wall. Here's the numbers. 34, 12, and 1 against the spread. That is 74% cover rate in the first half since 2005. They're 2-2 this year, but 34, 12, and 1 overall. So, yeah, if as Raheem would say, we can no longer just blind bet that one. They're starting to bake the numbers in. There are times now where the road team will be favored in game 3, but the home team is the favorite in the first half. So that's where we've got to start, I think, with both of these games. Is it's the back against the wall game. Season on the line is the fight there.
I did look at this and see, because both of these games have very tight spreads, right? Yeah. Like both of these teams have really tight spreads. So I want to look at, as we consider this, what this is in the second round. And then I want to look at when it's a tight spread. So here's something interesting. In the second round, if the spread's within a point, so if it's -1 to 1 per Bet Labs, which you can find on the actionnetwork.com, 9 and 10 ATS. This in the second. Now, look, the second round, that's a fraction of a small sample, right? But what I do kind of want to look at is if we take it beyond the first round, which is 25, 18, and 1, we only get the 16 and 16 ATS. So I think one of the things that might need to get considered in these spots, while it's like they do okay relative to maybe some of the other spots, right? Don't know that this is necessarily as good. Since 2014, it's 9 and 6. Maybe that's a little bit more encouraging. But what I think we're kind of looking at here is I'm not sure that this matters as much when you get to the second round and the teams are just better.
Yeah, that's when, as you said, the numbers, that's kind of how I was processing. It's like, well, maybe what's happening is that we're adding in some of those 3 and 4 seeds in the first round that are up against a slightly worse team. And then it's easier to take the game back in game 3. Now suddenly we're getting these dominant 1 and 2 seeds still. They're the ones going up 2-0. And it's like, actually, we're still here.
Yeah. All right. So Heat 1-point favorites, 210.5. What's your best bet for Heat-Sixers?
I like the Heat. And I took them at the +1 that the books so favorably gave us when that one first opened. But I thought this through. You know me, I'm the futures guy. If you like the Heat here, if you think that the Heat are going to cover and obviously then win the game, then they go up 3-0. I know we don't really know what's happening with Joel Embiid, but if you like the Heat at 3-0, you have to like the Heat to close this out and get the sweep, I think. So my best bet at DraftKings plus 270 for the Heat to get the sweep. I think the math is just off on it right now. The money line for Miami is about minus 115, minus 125 at a couple of books already. It will only rise if Joel Embiid ends up not playing. We don't know yet. The last that we heard during the games on Wednesday night is that he had a hard time looking at his phone and hadn't passed any of the tests yet. A lot can change in 48 hours, but that's not super encouraging. Right now, Miami's a 55% favorite in game 3. Plus 270 is a 27% implied. To get to that number, Miami would have to be a coin flip in game 4. That's not how this works. If you are the favorite in game 3 and go up 3-0 against a team, by the way, led by James Harden, you're expecting I'm not going to call James Harden a quitter, but I'm not exactly putting my faith in James Harden to come out and be like, no way, down 0-3, we're fighting for everything here. Like that, this Philadelphia team, if they lose game 3, screams, you know what, Joel, maybe just get healthy this offseason. Maybe let's just kind of pack this in and get the roster right for next year. So Heat to sweep, I think, is the place I have to go here.
Okay. So this is one of those, yet another example of how I disagree with your thought process, but you have a track record of success by just basically playing the ROI. So if you're a bettor that wants to be conservative, Brandon is not for you. If you're looking for the ROI, Brandon is definitely the play. Latest update via Gina Mizell of the Inquirer. Doc Rivers did not have an update on Joel Embiid today. He said he does not expect Embiid to be involved in today's team activities. We're recording this on Thursday morning, so you're probably going to hear this Thursday night, maybe Friday morning. If Embiid is ruled out, I do think it's likely here that they did this again, where they split the difference on the spread. Where I think that this is, they took, now like Heat were massive favorites at home, right? They were -8 without Embiid, right? Let's move 3 points to neutral without Embiid gets us to 5. 3 points on the road without Embiid, that gets us to Heat -2. So Sixers -1 initially feels a lot like, let's take a point off in case he doesn't play, but we'll start there and we'll let the market decide. And the market was like, we don't think he's going to play. And if he does, we still think the Heat are better. We're moving this to 1. So if Embiid plays, I'm expecting this to move to Sixers -1, Sixers -2. If Embiid does not play, then I expect to see this move to 2.5. That sound about right? 2.5, 3.
Yeah, I think that's about what I would expect as well.
Right. So if we move it there, because it was a 3.5 point jump from 4.5 to 8 when he was announced out, when the word came down last Friday for game 1. Right. So if we look at that perspective, then we've got, if it's 3.5, then I think that we do wind up at like Heat -2. I don't know that this should make a very big differential in your cap. I think if you like the Heat without Embiid, you should like the Heat without Embiid. It doesn't really matter the location. The gap has been just like considerable here. The Heat have not played great. And I don't know that the Heat, here's part of the thing, and this is one of the reasons why I think you're lower on them than me. I don't expect them to play great. Like, I never expect the Heat to look him. The Heat are not going to wow you with how they look. They're just going to grind out wins. I have a very strong 2008 Celtics kind of vibe with them, where it was like, if you look back at those, the 08 Celtics were kind of an outlier. But if you look at like the 09, 2010, 2011 Celtics, the last couple of years of the KG era, because they were conserving energy and their guys were missing time or playing themselves into shape with Pierce, a lot of it was just like their offense was so mediocre. And then late in games, it would just be Pierce would just close you out. They play great defense, and then Pierce and KG would close you out. Ray would hit a 3. A little bit of that. Like, these aren't Hall of Fame dudes, but this is a little bit of that. So I think that really matters here. I loved this matchup for Miami when Embiid was slated to play. Like, I think Miami is better suited to combat Embiid than any team that does not have Al Horford. I think that they are a better matchup for Embiid than the Bucks are with Brook Lopez. I think that. I honestly think that the way the Heat play disrupts them so much. Now, one of the things that I think will be interesting to look at here is game 2. I went a little bit contrarian. And so I played the over on Sixers team total in that game. It was 99.5, Brandon. The total was 208.5. So we're up about 2 points there on that total. I lean a little bit towards the over here with the impact of home court shooting for Philly.
Yeah. The other bet that I'm looking at here is similar vein. So we know Philadelphia has been missing like every 3-pointer. They go 8 for 30 on threes, 27%, which somehow is an improvement from 6 for 34 in the first game. So in 2 games, Philadelphia shooters are 14 of 64 on 3-pointers for 22%. So Philadelphia fans listening right now are screaming at us, regression. We're going to make our threes. We're going to score like 15 or 20 more points when they go. There is some regression there. I think there is reason to hope that some of the threes should fall. Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle scored 3 points in 44 minutes in game 2. They now have scored 10 points in 86 minutes combined for the series. It's a problem. And like you said, Matt, when you have a guy that you're just like, go ahead, take the shot. We're just defending 5-on-4. Go ahead, do your thing. You can't give Miami's defense that advantage. And we're seeing that happen right now. So I think that Philadelphia probably makes a few more shots. Here's why I like the over even more and why I think I actually like the Miami team over. The Heat scored 28 or more every quarter in game 2. And other than, remember game 1, they had that terrible second quarter. Other than that second quarter, they've scored at least 26 points every single quarter. If Joel Embiid is back, the math and geometry changes defensively. If he's not, the Sixers defense has nothing. They have no shot here. DeAndre Jordan is not it.
Right.
The guy did lead all starters in plus minus for Philadelphia this game. Way to go, Glenn Rivers. But the lineup that we like, the Tobias Niang small ball lineup that actually does unlock and when Doc finally exasperatingly plays it's good for like 3 minutes before Niang picks up 3 fouls. He fouled out in 10 minutes. So that lineup can't stay on the court. But it's because they can't defend. Niang can't defend without fouling in that lineup. So the Heat team total is 105.5. I feel better if you're looking at the over. I feel better about the Heat over because they are clearing that pretty easily at 26 points a quarter. Other than that 1 second quarter, that puts them to 104 right at the number. So I think I'd rather play just the Heat over and then just not have to worry about will James Harden do stuff and will Philly finally make their shots now.
That's fair, but I just worry that if I think from
worried
your
about the other side on the Miami shooting that they're going to go the other direction on the road a little bit.
Yeah, and well, here's the other thing is like, and Bam's been fantastic in this series so far, and I think Bam's a really good matchup for Joel defensively, but it's just going to be harder for him to score when Embiid's there.
Yeah.
If Embiid doesn't play, I think it's a fine play. I think honestly you could just play the combined total over because I think it could be either one. I think either the Heat are going to put up like 115, 120, or the Sixers are going to put up 110, and you're still going to be probably fine there because the Sixers defense isn't good enough to hold them down to sub 100, right? Without Embiid, they can't hold them down. Right. That's probably my read is if Embiid plays, Sixers over. If Embiid does not play, the total over 210.5. That's my read. I don't want the Heat. I don't want to play Heat team total overs because the Heat have a lot of ways they can win this game. Like the Heat can win this game 90-70. That's a thing that they can do. I do have that. Like I have this modeled like regular season. I've got this 220. So it's like, yeah, like the over screams as far as value goes. But that would have been the same for these other games too. And it's been a little bit closer because the Sixers offense is obviously a dumpster fire. I played Danny. I went back to the well. I was like, I'm going to trust Danny. He didn't hit the 3-point prop in the first one. I'm going to go back to him. Nope. George Niang, same deal. Surely, nope. Niang's getting open looks and can't hit him. The one I'm pissed about, Brandon, they won't give me Caleb Martin props. And I really want Caleb Martin props. Like Caleb Martin can play in the series. He's been good in the series. Very mad they will not give me my Caleb Martin props. What are your prop angles for game 3?
Jimmy Butler steals. We did that one in game 1. He had a couple of steals. He's had multiple steals every single game. We're still at plus money on that one. So I like that one.
What's the number?
The other one, plus 110, I think is what I last saw.
Is it
so
is it
a one and a half, over 1.5, just 2 steals.
Okay.
Assuming Joel Embiid is out here, do we just keep riding the Heat first quarter? Miami is +8 and +7 in the 2 first quarters. The Heat have actually won every single quarter in the series so far, except that terrible second quarter in game 1. So you can play the Heat first quarter, except that flies directly in the face of the trend. The whole trend is down 0-2 at home, first quarter, first half. So, but that also means we might get a better number. Race to 10. That was the play in game 1 when Jordan suddenly was the starting center. We know that will be the case. If Embiid is out, Jordan is absolutely starting again. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Race to 10 is plus money at FanDuel. So if you just want to just say, all right, well, while Jordan's out there, those first few minutes, can we just get Miami to just get out and take an early lead while DeAndre Jordan is out there? It didn't work quite as well in game 2, but are you nibbling either of those early angles, or is the
I don't. I think there's a possibility Sixers come out and it's just like 3-3-3 and it's like 9-0 to start, and then they crawl their way back into it. I think when you're in this kitchen sink spot, I think trusting the road team to get off to the hot start. I don't want to trust Philly. I'll say that. Like I don't want to bet Philly first to 10. I don't want to bet Philly first quarter. Yeah. I think trying to play those angles in this situation is tough, where there's enough of it, but also I wouldn't bet it now, because again, it's just like you have to wait on Embiid, right? And then if Embiid plays, I think it's like, oh, well, you get an even better number on the Heat first quarter then. Yeah, but like Embiid means it's much more likely for them to win to win that first quarter. If Embiid plays, Embiid comes out usually mid first, but even then, it fundamentally, I think, shifts it. I personally don't want any part of that. Can I ask you about Tyler Hero and if we think that there's value just on playing his overs?
Yeah, I had that written down too. What's he got? 18 points and 25, 23? I forget. Yeah, 25 and 18. I mean, yeah, they've had no answer for it. That to me is an if Embiid is out play. If Embiid is out, you just take the Hero points over. Yeah, I know right now what we've seen through 2 games. I don't really know necessarily how much the defense changes with Embiid. It has to be better. It can't be much worse than it is right now. So I guess I don't trust Tyler Hero a lot. I don't trust him to show up game by game. And also, I haven't seen a number for that yet. So we're not getting this number until pretty late, usually, since he's coming off the bench still. And he's the epitome to me. I know he's 6th man of the year, but that's exactly the sort of guy that is a shoot awesome while you're at home and the crowd is roaring, and then maybe not necessarily show up on the road. Like that's that sort of a role player. So I don't want to go too crazy with it, but if Embiid is out, they just have had no answer. He's just stepping into so many good looks. So I like it then, but not necessarily with Embiid.
Do you think his number goes down if Embiid plays?
I don't think much.
That's gonna be interesting. I'll tell you that. Like, keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Like, what do we don't have a prop up for it now in the app. Is there a prop on the board?
I haven't seen one for Hero yet.
So I would say that if his number goes down, I'll just tell you, if Embiid plays, I'm going to be betting his over. And the reason is Embiid has to play drop coverage.
Sure. Yeah.
Embiid has like one eye, like a broken face. He's going to be wearing the mask. Poor guy. I feel so bad for him. It's horrible. But he's going to play drop. And Hero's the one guy that will just come off the screen, rise up and fire the mid-range. Those are just rhythm shots. So I actually have a lot of confidence in his ability to consistently get a good diet of high quality looks. So I'll probably be on Hero over as well. I'm gonna add that to my best bets. Hero over on points. Okay, so to recap this game, Brandon likes Heat sweep plus 270. Do you want the first half line?
I'll take the Miami, or sorry, no, I do not want the first half line here. Certainly not until I know about Embiid.
Okay. If Embiid plays, do you want Sixers first half?
I think I would play a little bit of it. I don't think I'll go too crazy on it just because I haven't seen a lot to believe in. But I think I would probably take a first quarter. I think I would just see them come out firing with Embiid.
Okay. If Embiid plays, I want Sixers team total over.
Mm-hmm.
If Embiid does not play, I want the combined total 210.5 over. I want Heroes over on points. I'm not playing any more fucking 3-point props for the Sixers ever again. Brandon likes Jimmy Butler steals over 1.5 plus 110. And that's it for you, right?
That's about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the second game. Oh boy, Luka, buddy. Oh, you poor sweet summer child. You played the Jazz and everything was so wonderful, and now you are not playing the Jazz any longer as the Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul. Chris Paul was on some serial killer shit in game 2 in the fourth quarter. Just put the plastic sheets down, got Luka on the table, and went to work. It was disturbing. It was. I had one executive text and just say, "This is the most ruthless I've ever seen an NBA player." Like it was. It is so rare to see a team target one player so that consistently. Even if you target players on switches, it's like, okay, 1 or 2, 2 times in a row, and then we'll try a different set, or this guy will ISO, and then we'll come back to it. And Chris Paul was like, I am going to do this over and over and over and over and over. Get off my floor. Like, ooh, it was absolutely ruthless. So as a consequence, the Phoenix Suns opened as a 1-point favorite in game 3, but this has moved the other way. 67% of the money, 69% of the tickets have come in on Phoenix, and yet this has moved to a pick 'em. So we got some sharp money coming in on Dallas here. I guess not surprising given the spot. 218.5 is the total at open. It's up to 220. Brandon, Phoenix, Dallas, game 3 in Dallas. Maybe the Mavs last stand. What do you like?
So this is the one where I am going to go with just that home team 0-2 first half trend. And it's not even necessarily that, oh, I believe in Dallas, but I didn't believe in Philadelphia. I don't really believe a ton in Dallas to win the series either. Here's the difference. Raheem will be sad that he missed this little analogy I'm going to try to pull off. Raheem's our boxing guy. I think the Phoenix Suns are playing a rope-a-dope. I think the Suns are saying, you know what, Luka, go nuts, buddy. Throw all your punches in the first half. Do all your stuff. Run all the offense. Play all your hero ball. Get your points. Do your thing. You're going to do all your stuff. You're going to make your shots. You're going to get your threes. Guess what? We're only down 2 at halftime. We're right here, but you're tired now. And now that you're tired, Devin and Chris are going to just surgically take you behind the woodshed and finish the job. And I think Phoenix is just kind of weathering the storm, taking the first half punches from Luka, and then just waiting to just put him in the blender in the second half. And so that's kind of my read on the series anyway, which means that I can feel pretty good about that read on game 3, where we know that the home team is going to come out, look good. The role players are going to probably make a few more shots for Dallas. This is an extremely a role player heavy team for the Mavericks. Some of those guys, we've seen Bertans hit shots in game 2. We saw Maxi Kleber hit shots in game 1. We need more than one. So maybe at home, Dallas gets a few guys hitting a few shots. Maybe we don't have 700 fouls in the first 20 minutes of this game, and we can actually get some of the guys to stay on the court out here. I like the Mavs to take the first half lead. My question is, so Mavs money line first half. That's my play. My question is, you know me, I like to go for the kill here. If my read is that the Mavs are going to win the first half, but my read is that the rope-a-dope is going to leave Dallas tired, it's going to leave Phoenix hanging around, and we know how good the Suns are in the clutch, you can play Mavs first half, Suns to win the game is plus 370. If I like the Mavs first half, but I like what Phoenix is doing overall and the rope-a-dope thing, is that the angle I should be playing instead of first half alone?
So I'm of two minds on it. On the one hand, I like it because instead of playing it live when you're not going to get as good of a number, or it's going to be steeper, right? Because even if let's say that the Mavs are up 10 at the half, that's high. So they're up 7 at the half, right? Like they got a 7-point lead at the half. Suns are still going to be like what? Plus 3.5, plus 4, maybe for the game, like live. Like second half, they'll be minus something. And so if you just take this approach, I like it from that perspective. I wind up being so busy and like caught up on this game and trying to track like live player props and all this stuff that I have a hard time remembering like, hey, remember what you were going to do? And like, I have a hard time following through with that game plan. So from that perspective, I like it. I think the only concern is trying to over program the bets, right? And leaving yourself open. Like instead of doing that, and I know you want the bigger number, just bet both sides. Just bet the Mavs on like you're still getting the Suns at a pick. You're getting the Phoenix Suns as a pick 'em. You will not get a lot of opportunities to do that. Like maybe as we get deeper into the playoffs, there'll be a couple of spots where they'll be dogs. But especially when they are so much better than their opponent, you are not going to get them in a lot of spots. So I kind of think that you should just bet the Mavs first half and the Suns on the money line. Bet heavier on whichever one you like better, and just take the profit there, and don't get cute with the parlay.
Yeah, that's
you're like, yeah, but I'm Brandon.
Basically, yeah, you basically just described how Matt does things and how Brandon does things.
I know.
So I don't have any argument against that. That's just really not how I will do it. But I understand it. It's also a good play. I see that one as well. How do you like this game?
So I feel we did great on the props. The only thing that we missed, we got Chris Paul over points. We got Luka over points. Devin Booker had a dime to the corner for an open corner 3 and it clanked. And then he sat down as they broke open the lead with like 5 minutes to go. Broke my heart, finished with 4 assists. Booker had a lot more. I don't have the exact potential assist number in front of me. The Mavs did change up their tactical approach a little bit because they're basically here's what happened. The first half went exactly according to script, except for Chris didn't shoot a lot in the first half, but he still wound up, I think, with 8. He was at 8 at half. It was either 8 or 10. And I was like, okay, we're still fine for second half. He's going to get there. He breezed past it because he went nuts in the fourth. But the game plan was there. In the second half, they started switching more. And a lot of this was like, they started panicking about Chris Paul. The Mavericks, I tracked this in the third and fourth quarter. They tried a blitz. Chris Paul passed for a secondary assist to the corner for an open 3. They tried playing drop. He hit so many mid-rangers and absolutely torched them. They tried the switch. He broke Luka Doncic in half. They tried absolutely everything. There were 3 possessions. They tried zone. The Suns scored on 2 of them. Like he dissected everything. And I'm a little, I'll tell you, I want to talk this through with you. I'm kind of rattled on the props because I don't know what expected from Kid. It didn't feel like Kid adjusted. It felt like Kid panicked, but now I don't know what Kid's approaching game 3 is going to be defensively versus these guys, which makes this harder to cap for me on the props.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at on Suns props. I have in my notes, be careful with Suns props, the way they're switching coverages. So you mentioned potential assists. We talked about that from game 1. Game 1, potential assists. Devin Booker had 17 potential and he converted that into 8. Jay Crowder had 8 potential assists. Chris Paul only had 5. Here's how it flipped to game 2. Chris Paul had 15 potential assists, up from 5, and he got 8 of those. So that totally flipped. Devin Booker went from 17 in game 1 to 6 potential assists in game 2.
Yeah.
So by the number, we actually were lucky to get as close as we did to get the 4 and almost get the 5. Jay Crowder was down to 4, but basically back to what we would have thought. So I don't know now either. I don't know, was game 1 the outlier? Was game 2, was the second half the outlier? We don't know because I saw what you saw, which is Dallas doesn't know either. They're not really too sure what they're trying to do here, other than they're a team in search of answers because none of the solutions they came up with have worked yet. I want to talk I just want to take a minute to just soak in the greatness of the shooting performance that we just watched. like we tend to just kind of just fly through these games and go on to the next one. The Suns had the 7th best field goal percentage in a playoff game in NBA history, 64.5%. Teams that are over 60% are 65-5 in the playoffs. Pretty good way to win a game, it turns out, making 60% of your shots. Suns are the first team ever to shoot at least 70% on twos and 50% on threes. They were 36 of 51 on 2-pointers, 71%. They're now 62% on 2-pointers in the series. That is a huge problem for Dallas because their entire defense is we're not going to let you take threes. Just try to score twos on us, but you can't beat us with your twos. Bet you can if you get 62% of them to make every time. And the mid-range is killing them. The Suns team over is 110.5. Suns have scored a 129 and 121. We haven't said this yet on this podcast, but I think you and I both agree. If I'm Dallas and I just tried all those defensive solutions we just talked about, the only solution I come up with right now personally is none of the above. We better just try to outscore you. We better just try. And I was bummed by this. My favorite prop in game 2 was Dorian Finney-Smith rebounding on his birthday because I thought the Mavs were going to go small, play DFS at center and just space it out and just try to go nuts and outscore him. He got 3 fouls in the first quarter. I don't think they ever went to that lineup. They never had a chance to get there. I think that that's kind of the only shot at this point is just put those shooters out there, put Claver and Bertans out there, put DFS. We're bleeding points anyways. Let's just see if we can try to outscore you. So I like either the Suns team over or the game over from that angle. What do you think on the total here?
My only thing is this is another one of those where you have logicked this out what you would do.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't want to get into that with Jason Kidd. I can only do that if I have a real good feel for what kind of coach they are. And I don't have a real good feel for Jason Kidd. I think Michael Malone in this spot, I would be like, yeah, he's probably going to try and outscore him. I think, Nick Nurse would be like, no, we need to really kind of muck up this game. I think Mike Budenholzer would stick to his principles. Jason Kidd, I don't know. I just don't know. Here's what I will say on it is, one, you talked about like just wanting to appreciate something. Chris Paul is shooting 72% in the mid-range in the playoffs. I don't have words for that. If you're listening to this and you're like, what does that mean? A good percentage is 45%. Like 45%, and you're an elite mid-range shooter in the NBA if you're shooting more than 3 a game. Okay. The average is about 40. You're shooting 40%, it's fine. That's why everyone talks about it being a low percentage shot, right? Like take 2 steps back and it's a 3-pointer. A 40% 3-pointer is great. A 40% 2-point range, mid-range shooter is fine, but you're losing a point on it. That's the whole conversation about the analytics thing. Shooting 72%, forgive the pun, it's hotter than the sun. It is touching the face of God. It is harnessing the power cosmic. It is melding things with the infinity stones. Like it is borderline bending of reality. And that's what Chris Paul is doing. Just absolutely absurd shit from the point guard. So here's an interesting thing. I was looking this up because I was curious as you were talking about the coverages. I wanted to actually see what we kind of ran into. The Suns went switch heavier in game 2. Okay. They went switch heavier. So did the Suns. So the Mavericks. The Mavericks went switch heavier as well. So I actually kind of think we might want to lean towards unders on assists here. Luka had the prop line on Luka for assists was 8.5. He hit 8. I don't know if they're going to bump it for home court. That's my only question is
down to 7.5. They bumped him down because I believe, if I remember right, he had not hit the over 8.5 the entire playoffs. And to be fair, his entire playoffs is, I think, 5 games and his minutes were ramping up.
Okay.
But, we've said Luka points when the Suns are winning, Luka assists when the Mavs are winning. And look, we saw that play out, I thought, in the first half too. The Mavs were playing pretty well and scoring well. Luka had 6 or 7 assists. And then the second half, when the Mavs kind of dried up and the Suns ran away with it, the assist went away. So I guess Luka's points mostly went away as well. But
no, he still had he still had that big fourth quarter because he got the 35 on the
that's true.
Prop. So I just think, honestly, I think because they moved it down, it's a stay away from assists on all of these angles. Like, I think the assists are a stay away on CP3. I think the assists are a stay away on Booker. And I think the assists are a stay away on Luka. These two teams are trending towards fewer assists, more one-on-one play. I think the value remain. Now, the Mavs stayed and drop on Chris Paul. Like they did stick to that game plan for the most part in game 2. They ran 16 of those possessions versus 7 switches on Paul. It got rattly in that second half, like we talked about. I think that the most likely scenario is that they will but they're not going to blitz CP3. The one thing that I just don't think any coach can feel like you can do that with the way how good the other Suns are. I still think Chris Paul overs is probably the best prop play. Chris Paul points over.
Points over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that as well as you were saying it. My only hesitation is this. It's the kitchen sink game for Dallas. If the Mavs take a lead and are not comfortably in the lead, let's say they're up 8 points or something, late in the game, like Chris Paul's points have been fourth quarter points. Chris Paul's points have been put you away points. The Suns, it's close or we're ahead. I'm ending the game right now. What if we don't get that opportunity? Then doesn't that hurt? Like, I think if you like the Chris Paul points over, that you need to be betting that with a Suns win, because I think that those have been highly correlated because the points are coming late when he's finishing the job.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
So I'm a little cautious on it because this is the spot for the Mavs to try to steal a game still.
Yeah, I would say that I think this is where I think 3 and 4 is a real tricky spot. If you want to bet this game on the side, Brandon and I both think you should bet Suns.
Yes.
You like first half Mavs, but if you want to bet the full side, I'm going to stay away from the first half stuff. I am going to bet light on Suns, not heavy. I think the Suns take 1 of 2 in Dallas. I think the Sixers take 1 of 2 in Philly. I think these are both gentlemen sweeps. I think both teams have enough respect, and the other teams are. I think the Suns are. Like I think they'll peel off if they get a 3-1 lead. The Heat, I think, will just have a bad game. That's where I'm at on both of these series. Like, I don't like the sweep. I think these teams are good enough to not get swept.
Yeah, well, I mean, we said coming in, you and I both took Suns in 5, Suns in 6 before the series, under the premise that Luka Doncic is too good to get swept. The man has only ever lost to Robo Jordan in the playoffs, as we know. That's the only time he's been eliminated by them.
Guys, Raheem's not here, so I'm gonna rant a little bit about this. Okay. We gotta stop at look, that Clippers team was real good. And we've agreed that we like the way that the Clippers matched up with the Suns last year in the Western Conference Finals. I'm just saying, there's a pretty big gap between this Suns team and that, and also the whole idea of Luka's only ever lost to Robo Jordan. He's only beaten the sad Jazz. That's the bigger takeaway. He's only beaten the sad Jazz. So should be interesting to watch. All right, best bets.
Wait, let me do one more thing here. I tried we talked about the Chris Paul mid range. We talked about the Suns shooting. Everything about that, the way you and I both bet, it screams regression. It screams, okay, well, the shots are going to start missing soon. Will they? So I tried to look, and I don't know if I found an answer, but I thought this was really interesting anyway. There are 5 times now in NBA playoff history where a team shot 60% from the field with at least 13 threes. Obviously, there are a lot more times where there was just not much 3-point volume before the modern NBA. Here are the other 4 times. And I don't know that there's a big takeaway here, but I think it's interesting. First one was 1997 Rockets over Wolves, game 3, which was the end. It ended the series, ended in a sweep. Matt Maloney and Mario Elie hit 10 threes. So yay for Wolves fans. That one's not that interesting. Here's the other interesting one. Mavs Lakers 2011 game 4. Think about that one. Mavs Lakers 2011 game 4. Remember that one? I bet you do, because it was a Sunday afternoon game. And it was a sweep that was the end of the era for that Lakers team.
Yep.
Peja Stojakovic and Jason Terry hit 15 of 16 threes off the bench. 15 of 16. Here's what I'm taking away so far from those two. Those series ended in sweeps. Those are teams that, like, the only reason these percentages were so high is we're done. We're done. Shoot your shots. We're not even at 1, 2, 3 Cancun. We're at 1 Cancun. We're in Cancun right now.
Right.
Here's the other two. This next one, I think you were probably at this game. 2013 Warriors Nuggets game 2.
Draymond.
This is the day after the David Lee game. This is the genesis of the Warriors, correct? Yeah. Draymond played 4 minutes in game 1. Draymond started being Draymond in game 2. Steph and Clay hit 9 threes. So that was interesting. The Warriors went on. The Warriors they won the series, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the other one was Clippers Mavs. So another Mavs shot here in the bubble 2020 when the Clippers hung a 154 on them in game 5 and then closed out in game 6. So all 4 teams that did this won the series. Both teams won the next game as well. There wasn't really a bit. In fact, all 4 teams won the next game. The 2 that swept won their game 1 after. There wasn't a huge regression spot. It was, as much as it was, wow, crazy shooting. Also, wow, crazy shooting teams that can actually get to really good shots and make a lot of them.
I looked up performances of teams after they hit 20 or more threes in the playoffs. And this just applies as like a general rule. The next game performance actually isn't bad. It's really bad in the regular season. It's actually not, like, it's about even in the in the playoffs. So the big takeaway here is don't bet on regression. That to me is the
agreed.
Takeaway.
That's the takeaway for me too, is we talk about try to not catch the falling knife. The Suns are extremely the falling knife right now. Don't try to catch them.
Yep. All right, let's go wrap it up for buckets. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Brandon's got first half Mavs, likes the Suns full game. He's probably going to parlay them against my advice. He likes, I like Chris Paul points over. I like the Suns money line. I like Luka Doncic points over. Anything else we got there? You want Bridges steals?
Nah, no Bridges steals. I like the Luka points over. Jalen Brunson points under. We've been on that. He's 9 and 13. And I may have to go back to Dorian Finney-Smith rebounds and see if he can get my money back for me.
All right, let's go wrap it up for buckets. Make sure to download the Action Network app. We'll see you guys again next time. We'll see you tomorrow as we break down the Bucks Celtics game 3 and Grizzlies Warriors game 3. We'll have lots of content on that tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Leave us those 5-star reviews. We'll see you guys again next time. Let's get buckets.